Good morning, students. In the last class, we have discussed the diffraction due to single slit. In that, we have derived the condition for principal maximum and a condition for minimum. Now, we continue the same topic. We derive the condition for secondary maximum. Now, the condition for principal maximum is theta equal to 0. Condition for principal minimum is a sin theta equal to lambda. But in the case of diffraction, in addition to this principal maximum, there exists a secondary maximum. There exists a secondary maximum in between equally spaced minimums. Okay, so in case of diffraction, another maximum is there, that maximum is called secondary maximum, and that exists in between the minimums. Okay, now let us consider the condition for, let us calculate the condition for secondary maximums. Where we get the secondary maxima, let us see. Suppose this is P0, it is bright band. What we condition is theta equal to 0, we get a bright band, and that is called central maximum. Now, after this P0 point, at a distance lambda, we get a dark band, and again on this part also, at a distance lambda, we get a dark band. As we have assumed the condition as a sin theta is equal to n lambda. Suppose if lambda, we get a dark band, and next dark band will be at 2 lambda, a dark band, again at 3 lambda, we get a dark band. And similarly in this case, the below points also. 2 lambda we get a dark band, and again 3 lambda we get again 4 lambda, 5 lambda, 6 lambda. So in that basis, at these points we get dark bands like this. Now consider a point in between these two, midpoint between these two, P0 and lambda. That means that may be a distance. So this is the bright band. From lambda to this lambda, this total distance is of bright. So that bright is called principal maximum. Now, consider a point in between these two. That means between these two dark bands, a midpoint. That means this is lambda and this is 2 lambda, means this is 3 lambda by 2. That is 1.5 lambda, that is 3 by 2. Now, if for a particular angle sin theta is equal to 3 lambda by 2. Assume that the path difference in reaching a point which is at a distance 3 lambda by 2 from this P0 point. Now for this case, we divide the slit into 3 equal parts. So slit AB is divided into 3 equal parts like this. Now suppose the same discussion, same argument as that of the previous minimum case. Suppose if we divide the slit into 3 equal parts like this, suppose there exists a point here such that if you consider a point A dash here, there exists another point B dash in the second half, such that the light on reaching these 2 points is lambda by 2. Now for these two, the path difference is lambda by 2. Suppose if we divide this slit into 3 equal parts, that is a by 3 sine is equal to 3 lambda by 2 into 1 by 3, that is 3 lambda by 2. So this is equal to lambda by 2. So from these two parts, the light rays from this point and this point in reaching this point is lambda by 2. So that these two rays will interfere destructively and cancel out. But the light ray from this is unbalanced. It is not cancelled out. So that this is not cancelled out means here this particular light ray reaches this point. So constitute a bright band. Okay. Okay. If for a particular path difference a sin theta is equal to, assume 3 lambda by 2, Now divide the slit into 3 equal parts such that each part the length is lambda by 2, path reference is lambda by 2. If we consider, that means as in this earlier discussion, these two pairs will get cancelled out and this pair is not cancelled out, so that the resultant intensity at this point is due to the light from this part. So it gives a bright band. So that means in between these two bright bands at a distance 3 lambda by 2 we get a bright band. Now again between these two the distance is 5 lambda by 2. Suppose if A sin theta is equal to 5 lambda by 2, assume that A sin theta is 5 lambda by 2. Now divide the slit into 5 equal parts. Now divide the slit into 5 equal parts such that the two pairs will get cancelled out, these two pairs will get cancelled out and this part remains unbalanced. So that the intensity of light in reaching this point is due to the light from this point only. So that we get again a bright band because these two pairs cancel out, these two pairs cancel out, so that they reach a bright band at this point. Now at this point 7 lambda by 2 also we get a bright band. So we have 3 conditions in the diffraction due to a single slit. In a single slit diffraction pattern we observe three regions, that is principal maximum, dark band, secondary maximum, and the conditions are for principal maximum the condition is theta is equal to 0. For secondary maximum, A sin theta is equal to n lambda. For 2n plus 1 into lambda by 2, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. And minimum A sin theta is equal to n lambda, and here also n starts from 1, 2, 3, etc. So these are the conditions for the regions that we observe on this screen. So we get principal maximum, that means theta is 0 means those rays which are in the direction of incidence, and secondary maximum path reference is 2n plus 1 into lambda by 2. Minimum A sin theta is equal to n lambda. So these are the conditions for next we have to explain that we have bright bands. This is principal maximum, first order secondary maximum, second order secondary maximum, third order secondary maximum. Out of these the principal maximum is of highest brightness, and next one, that is this brightness, first order secondary maxima is lighter, that means intensity of this is less than that of this principal maxima, and this second one, secondary maxima is of low intensity than that of the first order. That means as order of this secondary maxima increases, intensity of that bright band decreases. Why it decreases means, let us see. Now the intensity of bright bands is of decreasing. Why? Because suppose if we consider like this AB, this is AB. Now for a central maximum P0, the light from total width reaches P0. That means light rays from the entire width of the slit reaches this point P0. Suppose if capital A is the amplitude of light waves from these 2 points, that means all the light waves of amplitude A, they will reach at this point, the amplitude becomes A square. Okay, now the intensity of this secondary maximum we can take it as A square. But for first order secondary maximum, to get first order secondary maximum, we divide the slit into 3 equal parts. Okay, 3 equal parts means the amplitude of the waves, that means A by 3 only. So the amplitude of light waves or amplitude of light from each part will be a by 3. As for the 3 ways, these two will get cancelled out. So the resultant will be of a by 3. So a by 3 is the amplitude. So intensity of the first order is a square by 9. That means decrease. Here it is a square, it is a square by 9. Now for the second order, we divide the slit into 5 equal parts so that we get amplitude as a by 5 and the intensity as a square by 25. And next one we get a square by 49. So the central maximum has an amplitude a square, first order has a square by 9 decreased, and a square by 25 again decreased, a square by 49 again decreased. In that way, the intensity becomes gradually 0. So that the intensity distribution of single slit diffraction is like this. This is principal maximum of highest intensity. This is first order on both sides of the principal maximum. That means on either side of principal maximum. And this is second order on either side, third order on either side. So this is principal maximum, this is first order secondary maximum, and this is minimum. This is bright bands. So that the intensity of the secondary maxima gradually decreases as move away from this principal maximum. Right? This is the intensity distribution of due to a diffraction due to a single slit. Okay. Now the angular width of principal maximum. Now we have a single slit of width A. Now a screen is placed here. Now this is the point P0, which is central maximum, and this is first order minimum. And in this side also we get a first order minimum. Okay. So again, for a single slit, like this, if we assume the slit of width A and a parallel rays are incident on it, and we get a central maximum P0, and we get minima on both sides of this, either side of this central maximum. Now the condition for first order minimum, we have the condition for minimum as A sin theta is equal to n lambda. So for first order means n is equal to 1. So we get A sin theta is equal to lambda. Okay, that means as for small angles, theta is approximately equal to sin theta. So we can write this equation as A theta is equal to lambda. So we can write theta is equal to lambda by A. So that means this is the theta for which we have arrived this condition as theta is equal to lambda by A. Now theta is with reference to this center. Actually from here we have to calculate from these two edges. But for small angles it makes no difference. From here or here there is no difference. So for small angles we can take it from the center of the slit. So for this theta we get a first order minimum. So that means the angular spread of this central maximum is theta. So this is the total angle. For one side we get theta, the total spread is 2 theta. So the angular spread of this central maximum is 2 theta, that is we can take it as, if we take it as alpha, so angular spread of this central maximum is alpha, then alpha is equal to 2 theta, that is 2 lambda by a. So the angular width of central maximum is 2 lambda by a, theta is equal to 2 lambda by a. Whereas the linear width of this central maximum, linear width means for this it is lambda and this is lambda. So the angle linear width is lambda plus lambda, from this point it is lambda, from this point it is lambda. So 2 lambda is the linear width. Okay, so you have to remember that the linear width of principal maximum is 2 lambda and angular width is 2 lambda by a. Theta is equal to, or alpha is equal to whatever it is, angular width theta is equal to 2 lambda by a and linear width is equal to 2 lambda. Okay, now we extend the same with a circular aperture. Now we extend the same analysis theory to circular aperture. Now diffraction due to circular aperture. So first we already derived the conditions for diffraction due to single slit. That means let us assume that this is a slit. Slit means there is simply like this. This is slit. Means total opaque body in which there is a small opening for light, and that we call it as a slit. So if it is a rectangular slit like this, so on the screen we get a pattern like this. About exactly in front of this slit we get a bright band. After that we get a dark band like this. After that we get another bright band. Exactly in front of the slit on the screen we get a principal maximum like this, and this is principal maximum. This is first order minimum on both sides. Next this is secondary maximum, another and a minimum, another secondary maximum, followed by a minimum and another secondary maximum. And this side also secondary maximum, secondary maximum, secondary maximum. Okay. But in the pattern what we have observed is, we have already in the last class have discussed like this. Like this. So this is of highest intensity, corresponds to the principal maximum. Suppose if we assume that this is I, then this is I by 9 and this is I by 25. And this is I by 49. Suppose if the intensity of the principal maximum is I, then the first order secondary maxima on either side of this principal maxima has an intensity I by 9, and second order will have an intensity I by 25, and third order we have I by 49. Next we have, because in every part of the condition is 3 lambda by 2 and 5 lambda by 2, 7 lambda by 2 and 9 lambda by 2, so that we get the intensity as I by n square. Okay, that means I by 3 square, I by 5 square, I by 7 square, next one is I by 9 square. In that way we get, that means the secondary maximum intensity gradually decreases like this and becomes finally 0. Okay, now if we consider the same theory, if we consider a circular aperture like this, instead of this rectangular opening, we have a circular opening. So in that case, the path difference we can have in any direction, this is equal to diameter. Assume that the diameter of that circular aperture is d, then we get number of diameters like this. So in any direction, it is d. Okay, so here we have assumed that the path difference is equal to a sine theta, where a is the width of the slit. Now here the path difference we take it as d sine theta. Similar analysis only. Suppose if d is the diameter of that circular aperture, we can have the same theory, and this equal to d sine theta. So d sine theta is the path difference. So just a similarity we can comparing like that. Here it is a sine theta, where a is the width of the slit. Here the path difference is d sine theta, where d is the diameter of the slit. Here a is equal to width of the slit. So we have the same conditions as that of this single slit. That is, here we have the condition for principal maximum is theta is equal to 0 degree. Minimum condition is a sine theta equal to n lambda. Secondary maximum condition is a sine theta is equal to 2n plus 1 into lambda by 2. In both the cases, n is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. Now the same conditions are applied in this case also. That means we get a principal maximum for theta is equal to 0, principal maximum, and a d sine theta is equal to n lambda, we get a minimum, and d sine theta is equal to 2n plus 1 into lambda by 2, secondary maximum. Okay, but the major difference between here, in this case, we have on the screen the pattern of diffraction consists of number of bright and dark bands. But in the case of circular aperture, on the screen we get alternative bright and dark circular regions. That means exactly in front of this aperture opening, we get a bright ring like this, a bright circular area of uniform brightness, and it is surrounded by a dark ring like this, and again it is surrounded by a secondary maximum, like this. So in the case of this rectangular slit, we get alternative bright and dark bands on the screen as diffraction pattern, but in case of the circular aperture, we get a uniform circular region, uniform bright circular region, and concentric circles of alternating dark and bright concentric circles, and this is the pattern of this circular aperture, and these rings are called airy rings. So these rings are called airy rings. So you have to remember that in case of diffraction due to a single slit, the condition for principal maximum is theta is 0. For minimum is a sin theta equal to n lambda and a sin theta equal to 2n plus 1 lambda by 2 for secondary minimum. In this case, a is the width of the slit. But in the case of circular aperture, the path difference is d sin theta, where d is the diameter of the circular aperture, and the conditions are same. So d sin theta equal to n lambda, d sin theta equal to 2n plus 1 lambda by 2. But instead of these bands, alternative bright and dark bands, we get alternative bright and dark circular rings like this, and these rings are called Airy's rings. So you have to remember these conditions. Now Now assume that this is the central maximum of this Airy's pattern, or central maximum due to a circular aperture, so which is bright. Now it is surrounded by a dark ring, then this is first minimum. So center of this circular spot is principal maximum, and this is first minimum. So now assume that this is the circular aperture like this. We have this pattern like this. Okay. Now if theta is the angle such that we got this as n lambda. Now if r is the radius of this circular disc, then if d is the distance between these two, we have the condition d sin theta, d is the diameter of this circular region, then d sin theta is equal to n lambda. This is for condition for first minimum, that is this one. But from the center to this distance is radius of this central disc, and that is d sin theta is equal to lambda. This is for first order. So theta is equal to lambda by d. That means the angular position of the first minimum is given by theta is equal to lambda by d, where d is the diameter of this circular aperture. So, but Airy corrected that actually theoretically it is lambda by d, but practically it is observed that this angle is not exactly equal to lambda by 2d. That's why Airy made a correction to this equation as theta is equal to 1.22 lambda by d. This is the Airy correction. That means instead of 1 lambda by d, he corrected the equation as 1.22 lambda by d. So this you have to remember. So the angular position of this particular ring is equal to lambda 22 by d. Now, diffraction due to double slit. Diffraction due to double slit. So, assume that AB and CD. AB and CD are two identical slits separated by a distance d. Assume that the separation between the slits is small d. Then already we have assumed that they are of identical width, means both have the same width A. Identical means same width. So two identical slits separated by a opaque distance d. Now diffraction due to double slit. In this case, suppose if we assume that we close this particular slit, then what happens is this is due to diffraction due to the single slit only. Suppose if we close and open this slit, then it is also again diffraction due to single slit. But if we open both these slits, and expose it to light, then the diffraction due to double slit. In that case, what happens is diffraction takes place due to individual slits. Individual slits show the diffraction effect of their single slit pattern, but as a combination of these two, we will get interference, because these two slits act as two coherent sources and gives rise interference. So the combination, so the diffraction due to double slit is the combination of both diffraction and interference. So diffraction due to individual slits and interference due to the combination of the slits. So in the case of the intensity pattern, we are not going to derive this double slit experiment. So actually in single slit pattern, the intensity distribution is like this. Like this. In the single slit pattern, we have the intensity distribution is like this. But, and this is principal maximum, this is first order secondary, second order secondary, third order secondary, and these are minimum points. Okay, that means the minimum are zero minimums. All these minimums are zero intensity. But in the case of diffraction due to double slit, the intensity of minimas is not zero. Okay, 1 minute. In case of single slit, the intensity distribution is like this. That means we get a principal maximum, secondary minimum, secondary maximum, secondary maximum, secondary maximum. The intensity of these secondary maximums gradually decreases and finally becomes zero. And the minimums are of zero intensity. But in the case of interference, as we have studied in the last topic, the intensity of bright and dark bands is same. Like this. So in the case of interference, bright bands are of same intensity. All the bright bands have same intensity. So all the bright bands have same intensity, all the dark bands have zero intensity, like this. Now the diffraction due to double slit, if these two overlap or superposition of these two curves, that means the resultant intensity is like this. Okay, the resultant intensity now in this we get now the combination of these two, superposition of these two gives rise a resultant of like this. That means the central maximum, that means this whole curve is superimposed on this curve like this. So here the minimums are not of zero intensity, because the minimum intensities are not zero. But even in this principal maximum, we get minimums due to interference. That means we get a minimum due to interference here and here. So we get two minimums in this bright maximum. So in the case of diffraction double slit, we get a principal maximum in which there are two dark lines here. In this example, we have two dark lines corresponding to interference minimums. So this is the resultant pattern due to diffraction due to double slit. Okay. Okay. So far in the diffraction topic, we have discussed about diffraction due to single slit, circular aperture and double slit. In the case of single slit, we have the conditions as a sin theta equal to, we have the condition a sin theta. In the case of circular aperture, it is d sin theta. Here a is the width of the slit, here d is the diameter of the circular aperture, and the conditions are similar. In the case of single slit pattern, we get alternative bright and dark bands, and in the case of the bright bands of decreasing intensity, whereas in the case of circular aperture, we get a uniform circular disc surrounded by alternative bright and dark rings for the bright rings of decreasing intensity in this case. And in the case of diffraction due to double slit, we get principal maximum in which there are dark lines due to interference minimums. So these are the conditions we have derived. Now the next topic is resolution and resolving power. So what is meant by resolution? Suppose if I draw two lines like this, very close to each other. If I draw two lines such that they are very close to each other, and we observe these two lines from a large distance or far from this board, then one cannot observe these two lines as separate. That means from a large distance from this board, these two lines appears to be merged with one another. That means these two lines appears to be merged when the distance is large, or if they are very close to each other, in that case also from a certain distance we can't see them as separate lines. Okay, so if we see them as separate, then we can say they are resolved. Okay, that means resolution means the process by which we can see two close objects as separately. So two close objects separately, then we say they are resolved. So resolution means the process by which we observe two close, very close objects as separate, and that process is called resolution. So our human eye, so I can, even we can also, our human eye has also a limit on resolution. We can't see everything, very close objects as separate. That means there is a limit on the resolution of our eye. That is, if the angle subtended at the eye by the two objects is less than 1 minute, then our eye cannot observe them as separate bodies, separate objects. That means, suppose this is our eye, suppose if they are at large distance from the eye, already we have discussed in the case of optical instruments, if an object is very larger distance from our eye, then the angle subtended by that body at our eye is very small. So if we consider two bodies like this, very close to each other, which are far away from our eye, and they make an angle like this, they subtend an angle like this. If two objects far from our eye and they are very close to each other and they subtend an angles at the eye. If the angular, suppose this is alpha first body and this is beta second body. If alpha is the angle subtended by the first body and beta is the angle subtended by the second body at the eye. If the angular difference, that means beta minus alpha, angular difference theta is equal to beta minus alpha. If this beta minus alpha is 1 minute, 1 minute means it is 1 degree by 60. That means 60th part of 1 degree. 1 degree angle. So if this angular difference is 1 minute, then our eye can observe them as separate bodies. Our eye can observe them as separate bodies means our eye can resolve them. That means resolving means it can separate these two objects. But if the angular difference theta is less than this 1 minute, if the angular difference between these two angles subtended at the eye is 1 minute, less than 1 minute, then these two objects will not appear as separate objects. They merge each other, appears to be merged each other. So if the angular difference is greater than this 1 minute, that means 1 degree by 60, greater than 1 degree by 60, then our eye can see them as separate objects. If it is less than 1 minute, our eye cannot see them as separate. That means those two objects cannot be resolved. So the limit on our eye, the limit of resolution of our eye is this 1 minute. So this 1 minute is limit of resolution. So this 1 minute is called limit of resolution. Okay, and if we cannot resolve them, if we cannot resolve the two objects, then in that case we use optical instruments. Suppose if we take microscope, suppose if two objects which may be very close to each other, which are not visible as separate with the naked eye, but we observe them in microscope, they appears to be separate. That means what happening is that microscope has resolved those two objects. Suppose if we see a large distant object very close to each other, two objects, our naked eye cannot see them as separate, but when we observe through a telescope, those two objects appears to be separate. That means here the telescope has resolved the two objects. So if there is a limit on the resolution of our eye, if we cannot resolve them as separate, we use optical instruments. So even these optical instruments also has a limit on their resolution. Even microscope and telescope also has a limit on their resolution. That means even microscope cannot see, visualize all the objects as separate. There is a limit, up to certain limit it can resolve. After that it may also, even it cannot resolve them. So there is a limit on this optical instrument also. So that limit of resolution. Now we define another physical quantity called resolving power. Resolving power. So resolution means the process by which we can observe two close objects as separate. Okay, and the limit of resolution is, that means up to a certain limit we can resolve them as separate. After that we cannot resolve them. So that is called the limit of resolution, and the reciprocal of this limit of resolution is called resolving power. So the reciprocal of limit of resolution is called resolving power. And we define the resolving power is the resolving power of an optical instrument is its ability to resolve two close objects, or its ability to give images of two close objects as separate. Okay, so resolving power of an optical instrument is the ability of the optical instrument to give separate images of very close objects. Okay, and that is measured by the reciprocal of limit of resolution. Okay, resolving power is measured resolving power is measured by the reciprocal of limit of resolution. Okay, so resolution and limit of resolution, resolving power of optical instrument. Okay, so now we conclude this resolution. Resolution means the process by which we can observe two close objects as separate. That process is called resolution, and there is a limit on resolution, and the reciprocal of that limit of resolution is called resolving power. And the resolving power of an optical instrument is its ability to give separate images of very close objects. Okay.